Good morning. Welcome to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Friday morning, John Cornell,
right.
Shane Matthews.
All right, here we go.
We're ready?
Friday.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
You distracted?
we got a lot of turmoil going on.
Turmoil.
But turmoil is not the case here for the next 60 minutes or 55 minutes or so as we wrap up another week, QB. And we've got Brent Beaird, one of my favorites that we have on our show, talking SEC football and college football in general. And, of course, we'll probably add in some basketball as we get ready for the final weekend of the regular season. Huge weekend in college basketball. It's going to help some teams. It's going to hurt some teams. But positioning for the SEC tournament is what we care about here. And the Gators right now, as you say, have got a very good opportunity to lock up the number 2 seed in the SEC tournament with a win over Kentucky. That's going to be an exciting atmosphere and crowd on Saturday. I'm hoping to get over there and watch that. I'm wearing Mississippi State hat because I'm pulling for them to beat Mississippi because, of course, our kids went to school there and graduated, and they need to get into the tournament as well so that we can watch them with those kids and get excited about March Madness. And, of course, I told most of the ATOs that I met when I used to go there and visit that I would wear their hat today. So there we have it. We're wearing their hat. But it's the only SEC hat I'll wear other than my alma mater in Florida, just so you know, QB, so you don't give me all kinds of grief about it. But I'm happy that Florida is really in a great position in basketball right now to take advantage and improve that resume and get themselves really, in the eyes of the committee, a solid team for positioning in the big dance in spite of what may happen in Nashville. So, yeah. I mean, I think a win over Kentucky would do that, certainly. Well, but that's going to be a tough game to win.
It is, but Kentucky is not the Kentucky of old.
No, there's no Anthony Davis running around.
They're very, very beatable. I think we win tomorrow. It's a 1 o'clock game in the O'Connell Center.
No, and I tell you, that game at Lexington a week or so ago, when was it, 2 weeks ago or a week ago? That was 2 weeks ago. That was, or was it a week ago? But that game, when they played in Lexington, I thought was the turn for Florida that they needed to really dial up some pressure here at the end of the year. In spite of that loss to Tennessee, who may be playing better than anybody in the entire conference right now, Florida made a game of that one as well in the second half. But that game against Kentucky, I think something clicked for the Gators, and you may have your reasons why that could have been, but that was a game they could have won. So, look, they're playing better.
They are, and it'll be a test tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the O'Connell Center. Also on campus this weekend, a lot of stuff going on. Baseball is still unbeaten, and they host the South Florida Bulls in a 3-game set. Starts tonight. Yeah. Also, softball, SEC play starts tonight. 3-game set, Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Auburn Tigers here on campus.
Well, I mean, that's going to be quite an active place, campus, this weekend. The weather's going to be perfect. The rain is gone. There won't be any issues with that. The 70-degree weather is going to just create just an awesome opportunity for fans and Gator fans alike to be on campus this weekend. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Orange and Blue game is April 18th, so that's a ways off. Mm-hmm. So this is a great opportunity. You got great basketball, and you're going to have the Gator baseball team, your number 1 ranked Gator baseball team, playing a state rival. So that is enough right there to keep you busy on campus this weekend. So on campus is going to be good.
Yeah, last night in college basketball, kind of give you a recap of what happened, some of the big games that have a lot to do with tournament seeding and things. Ohio State beats Illinois 71-63. UConn defeats a ranked Houston team who is going in the wrong direction. UConn wins 77-71. Arizona State, who's won like 5 or 6 in a row, loses at home to Washington 90-83. Stanford, another one of those bubble teams in the Pac-12, loses to Oregon State 68-65. Another bubble game between Memphis and Wichita State. Both teams are on the bubble. Memphis beats Wichita State 68-60. And then one of the tournaments, there's already some tournaments that have started, conference tournaments. And for the second day in a row, the Wyoming Cowboys upset the 2 seed, the Nevada Wolfpack, 74-71. And they've only won 9-24, and they've won 2 games in their tournament already.
Right. So they went into the tournament at 7-23 and won 2 games already, beating the top seeds in the Mountain West Conference. Okay, so, we have to make sure we know that. But it's nice to have our viewers. There's Patrick bringing us comments on Facebook Live about my my weather forecast, which was great. There's Gene. He's excited about the hat I'm wearing, as is Jack. There's Jack, and he's a big bulldog.
Are you excited about the Arnold Palmer Invitational?
I'm excited. It's where I'm going to be today, walking the hallowed grounds.
Let's talk about
that golf course.
Matt Every, former Gator, is leading the tournament at 7 under par.
Former winner of the tournament.
And then one of my picks, Roy McIlroy, is one back.
So my dad, my late father, had a Matt Every golf bag in his garage. And I think it's still there. It says Matt Every. And he got it when he was at the University of Florida golf course. And I think some of those players just give away some of their stuff. And so Dad has somewhere in that garage a Matt Every golf bag. And if he wins, maybe I'll just bring it in, QB, so you can see it.
Yeah. But I don't see any of your golfers anywhere on the leaderboard here.
It's not even the cut yet, dude.
I understand.
I mean, my goodness.
I understand.
But back to the college basketball. Jackie Spreads, our hot news segment that we have on Tuesdays and Thursdays here on Pod Up with Matthews in the morning. We had Jackie Spreads come in at 1-1 from his picks last night. He hit the Clippers, very easy win. Nice call there. Somehow Arizona State at home against Washington lost outright, and he was laying 6. So he lost that game. Yours truly hit that over on the Illinois-Ohio State game, right? Hit that over. 70-65 was his final score. The total was 132. And then my stinking New York Islanders lost to the Ottawa Senators, allowing 3 straight unanswered goals to the Senators, who were going nowhere and playing in an empty arena somewhere in Ottawa, and the Islanders lost. So because they were such a big favorite, I lost more than what I would have bet. So it's unfortunate there, but I would have had the Flyers, but that line wasn't on the board, and so I didn't have a chance to take them. So Jackie Spreads goes 1-1, and I go 1-1.
I got a Facebook Live comment here brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred personal injury attorneys. Chris says, "Good morning, guys." Chris from McClenny. I've got to go to the Georgia spring game this year because it's my turn. LOL. She went to the Gator spring game last year, so I'll report to you guys when I get back on the offensive line, quarterbacks, and everything else about that place. By the way, Shane, I'm ready to do football picks with you when it comes football time, me and you with the Southeastern Conference. So Chris is obviously his wife is a Georgia grad. He's a Gator.
And then he says, I'm not on the Georgia bandwagon. He hates
Georgia.
Yeah,
his wife likes Georgia.
Well, I mean, sorry, Chris. I mean, you're just going to have to battle there. But, right now she's got the upper hand on you. What, 3 straight wins?
Yeah. Okay. We got more texts coming in. So, JC, let me read this one on the Titan MRI text line.
Let's do that.
It says, "Happy Friday, Shane and JC. I'm a little late to the party, discovering y'all a few weeks ago, but I'm sure glad." Segment sponsored by PK Young's Reading Lab, in which Shane has to attempt to say a Korean golfer's name correctly. If y'all had closed captioning yesterday, it would have read
that was classic.
Been
that was one of our moments.
And beyond. He said, no. He said, if y'all had closed captioning yesterday, it would have read, quote, "been on and beyond."
Well,
when Shane was trying to say Byung Hun. Actually, he goes by Ben On. His name is Ben On tour. That's Ben On.
All right.
I'm not laughing at you, Shane. I'm laughing with you because I'm no better, brother.
Who said that?
That's Ryan.
God bless him. Well, thank you for getting back.
By the way,
Ryan.
My South Korean golfers are both under par.
They love this Florida swing. I mean, who would have heard? Who heard of Siwoo Kim before the TPC? Who heard of it? The thing I loved about Siwoo was after he won the tournament, they put a microphone in his face and he was rambling with his South Korean, and we had the translator, so nobody really knows what he said. But at the end of his stay on that weekend, Siwoo did a selfie with some folks on a Delta jet flying back to wherever the hell he was flying in coach, and he was in the middle seat.
I remember that.
He was in the middle seat in coach on a 757 from Jacksonville to Atlanta.
He's not a big guy, so he's okay in the middle seat.
But it's never comfortable to be in that middle seat, QB. You got people over here with elbows.
Maybe he enjoys it. Maybe he feels safe there.
Well, whatever it is, that's what he sat on. He just won, $1.5 million and who knows how much in endorsements and so forth with the South Korean Golf Federation and whatever it is. And there he is in coach. God bless him. I love that kind of guy. Siwoo is my favorite Korean golfer. He really is. I'm proud to say that because I like the way he carries himself. Now, he hasn't done much since then, but we can always root for him. Your guy, Ben On, is really good at Bay Hill. He's played well.
Can you pronounce the other one?
Ben On.
Not Ben On, but
who's the other player?
Sung J M.
Sung Jong Im.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See, I got it. But
I hit the camera.
But no, I'm going down there today, so I'm going to look them up and I'm going to say, hey, Sanjay, we've got Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. Tune in. Hey, here's my card. I got a business card. I'm bringing them down to Bay Hill this weekend. I'm bringing my business cards to Bay Hill. I'm going to hand them out to all the golfers so we can line up some golf guests maybe, QB. What do you think of that?
Well, we'll have some golf guests next week, especially with TPC.
I'll say, you can talk to Shane. He'll know who you are. He can say your name.
And you can.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm looking forward to having old Brent Beaird today. I'm going to ask him a very simple question that's not on our notes, and I hope that doesn't take him out of his comfort zone, but I don't think it will because he's so good at what he does. And that question is going to be realignment in the SEC, which I don't see any chance of happening, but I want to hear his opinion on it because it's so silly that Missouri is in the East and Auburn's in the West. And they can still play the Alabama-Auburn game. They can still play it because if you have 9 conference games and you realign the conference properly like you should geographically speaking, you can still have your biggest rivalry be your crossover opponent. But even if
they kept it like it is now, Auburn's permanent Auburn's permanent West opponent would be Alabama.
Right, and they would still play Georgia in the East, which is their permanent Eastern opponent right now as a Western team. So it only makes sense. The only thing that would get turned upside down would perhaps be the Alabama-Tennessee game, which is a joke of a rivalry right now as we know it, and really isn't anything or a shell of its former self in terms of a rivalry. Who cares? Alabama's always going to beat Tennessee. They've won, I think it's been 1,500 days since Alabama last lost to Tennessee. But if you went to 9 games, then you could have Tennessee on the rotation more frequently for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So it only makes sense, but my God, Greg Sankey is so reticent to do anything out of the ordinary and upset the apple cart and take leadership in this conference other than just doing what he thinks is always good. If it's not broke, don't fix it kind of mentality, which to me is just lazy thing.
JC, did you watch any NBA last night? Did you watch your Clippers?
Well, what I did see is so I was going to ask you about that. Do you have right now a pre-playoff finals that you would predict in the NBA? Because I do. Well,
in the East, there's probably 3 teams that have a chance: the Bucks, the Heat, and the Raptors.
And the Celtics.
I'd put them in the top 4. If you want to do 4, I'd put the Celtics there.
Well,
and then in the West, it's the Clippers, the Lakers,
and maybe Dallas.
Well, I don't know where they sit, but I like their team more than I do the Rockets. The Rockets play with nobody over 6'6", I think.
Yeah, no.
That ain't going to last.
So the finals this year will be, and Kawhi is going to go back as a Clipper because I love the way they play. They can score.
Well, they're the best team in basketball. The record doesn't show that because they have load management.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to have to do some load management with you, JC, every now and then.
What's that mean?
Well, you're going to have load management on Monday because Dan Cross is going to – load management is when they rest the guy.
I'm getting an assignment on Monday.
Yeah. So Dan Cross is going to be in studio. We're going to talk SEC tournament, college basketball.
Yeah.
We're also going to have Blake Alderman from 24/7 Gators 24 Swamp 24/7 because it's a huge, huge weekend on campus recruiting this weekend.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, it's going to be great weather and it's going to be a lot of action happening, and we talked about that a few minutes ago. But I think if I were to pick right now at 8:15 on Friday morning, March the 6th, I would say the LA Clippers are going to play the Milwaukee Bucks in the finals.
That's going out on a limb. They're both going to be the 1 seeds.
We're talking about the NBA, man, and we don't talk much about it, so it's amazing that I even knew.
Well, the Milwaukee Bucks have a chance to break the Bulls' win record.
Well, they got smoked last year in the playoffs, so let's just see if they can come back and redo. I think it's the other night I wanted to tell you that a couple days ago, I think it was on Wednesday. This guy named Karis LeVert for the New Jersey Nets scored 37 points in the fourth quarter and in overtime as they beat the Celtics. 37 points in the fourth quarter and in overtime. The Celtics were up 5 points with 7 seconds left, and they lost the game. And this guy LeVert scored 50 points. It's the first time in NBA history that he led his team down 15 points in the fourth quarter to win a game and scoring and scored 50 points. And I should have mentioned that on Thursday or yesterday, but it was an amazing accomplishment for this guy who nobody's heard of, Karis LeVert, for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yep. Diane says on Facebook Live,
Gets to sleep in.
brought
Monday.
to you by Pound Hurt. JC gets to sleep in on
And
Monday.
she's a top fan. But Diane,
How do you become a top fan?
Well, you don't know that? Well, anyway, Diane, thank you. It's true, but I can't. I mean, this guy has now got me habitually waking up at 6 o'clock.
You're going to be
every morning.
healthier that way, JC.
What's that mean?
Healthier.
What do you mean I'm going to be healthier?
You're going to
for waking
up
early?
at the same time, get the same amount of sleep.
Well,
Just think what you're going to do on the tennis court now.
Oh, well, I do go to bed earlier now.
Yes.
I'm usually, my whole family, my mom is the reason for this, but I've always stayed up late, and I've taken after her. But now I'm forced to literally go to sleep earlier, and I can't watch what I want to watch.
Just think how much more athletic you are now.
Everything turns off.
You're so much more athletic now with you're getting your proper rest.
Well, I'm a two-sport athlete. We've talked about this.
That's
QB.
right. We're going to take a time out. We're going to come back, and we'll talk about what JC eats daily on the program. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. Area Rug Masters, your number one choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Coldstone Creamery, Gator Dominoes, Celebration Primary Care, Center State Bank.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell, Shane Matthews. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Come in and experience the Center State difference. To learn more, visit centerstatebank.com. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're now going to go to our play of the day, JC. You're going to love this play of the day. It's brought to you.
What?
The play of the day is brought to you by Area Rug Masters, your number one choice for all your area rug cleaning services. This is Micah Zibanejad, who scored 5 goals to match a franchise record last night. In a 6-5 win, the Rangers over the Washington Capitals, scoring 5 goals.
Zibanejad is a very good player. He is.
Do you like how I pronounced that?
Snapper. You did. He's sniper. You practiced that. That was
I
great.
didn't. I just threw it out there, right?
Well, that was outstanding, QB. Yeah, big win for the Rangers trying to get in the playoffs there at Madison Square Garden,
5
the world's
goals,
most
though.
famous arena. 5 goals against those dirty Capitals.
And Patrick says on
there you
Facebook Live, which also is brought to you by Pound Hurt,
That's
he
right.
says, would love to see a remote from JC this afternoon. Pot Up live from Bay Hill.
I mean, I will try to do something.
All you have to do is get your phone out and video.
Do they frown upon that kind of thing at the golf tournaments?
Remember the days when you couldn't
You couldn't
take
even
your
bring
cell
them
phone?
in. You couldn't even bring them in. Now,
Yeah.
the fans
Yeah.
basically said no to that. But I'll do it. I'll go to the driving range, and if I find our Korean favorites, by God, we're gonna get in there, and I'm gonna cheer. And, golf at Bay Hill is different than it is at T. The course is beautiful. The parking is a little bit of an issue.
So
down
are you
there,
a
but I can't wait to
walk
go.
around the golf course?
I'm a walk
sit,
around. No,
or sit
I
on
have
one
to
hole?
walk around. I cannot sit. You know me, QB. I can't sit anywhere still, but I certainly love to walk around. And I'm being hosted today by Bright House Financial. Love them. And they are going to, Todd, my friend, is going to take us around, and I'm going to meet Jack down there, and we're going to have a day at the golf course at Bay Hill. I mean, it's better than watching the stock market tank and go into oblivion. So I'm going to do that. But having said that, I think it's going to be cool to see who makes the cut, who doesn't make the cut. Tiger, of course, is not there. I think he's won it those 7 times. But Matt Every is a guy we can pull for because obviously he's won it there before and maintained his tour card by winning that tournament. And knows the course well, and he's winning right now. So he's a former Florida Gator golfer, and so certainly locally, a lot of folks will be cheering for old Matt. As I mentioned just a second ago, this coronavirus thing it's taken over everybody's attention. But
JC has his wife.
we are insulated here in the Crime Prevention Security Studios because nobody's here. So we are not where a lot of people are. But the NCAA's Division III men's basketball tournament, one of the host sites is at Johns Hopkins University.
Well, it should be very sterile there.
Well, you would think, obviously, but they're hosting the Division III men's tournament. Okay, I don't even know who the teams are. Obviously, the crowds will not be big. But having said that, they have decided, and it is now official, that tournament at that location in Maryland, since all of a sudden now Maryland has gotten this thing going on, will have no spectators. There will be nobody in the arena to watch the game.
I saw 2 or 3 days ago Chicago's so much money, TV.
Well, I tell you,
excitement.
I mean, I know this is kind of crazy, but I mean, would you get on a plane right now, or do you think that I'm fueling fear by asking that question?
I think it depends on. I think it depends on where you're gonna go.
Yeah. Well, the 2 airlines that we have here in Gainesville, Florida, they go to 3 different locations. Actually, they now go to 4 separate locations. 3 are international airports, and another one is a very large airport, meaning Miami, Atlanta, and Dallas all have direct flights from here, and you can also go to Charlotte, North Carolina. And I don't know. I mean, if you're flying out of Gainesville and you want to go somewhere, you have to go to Atlanta, you have to go to Dallas, or you have to go to Miami or Charlotte. Mm-hmm. I'm going. Look, my life is not going to stop. All you have to do is just take precautions and be smart.
Get a mask, JC.
The Catholics now are saying no more peace be with you. None of that.
Fist pumping?
I don't even think we're going to fist pump anymore. We're just going to peace be with you. Peace be
JC, I think you should.
Maybe somebody needs to say peace be with you.
I think you should wear a mask around Bay Hill today.
If I did that, they would run me out of there. At least I know the guy who's
You would get on TV, I bet.
I might. That could be. Then I would be.
You
famous.
could be pot up with Matthews in the morning with the mask on and videotaping golfers.
Oh, that would get the Golf Channel's cameras. Mm-hmm. I absolutely would.
You would be famous.
But I don't want to wear that dumb thing. It's just, I would look ridiculous. First of all, and secondly, I'm not that crazy about it. I don't think it's that big a deal yet.
But think about it. You're going to where there's going to be a bunch of spectators, JC.
Oh, I know.
And in Orlando, don't think there's not some international travelers at that event.
So what are you saying there, QB?
I wouldn't be going.
Oh, well, you wouldn't be going anyway. You don't go to sporting events.
Patrick says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred personal injury attorneys, head-to-head Every versus I'm today. Is he asking a question, or are they
there's
paired?
A question mark there.
Okay, so
I guess he's just saying who would win between Every and M today. Are they going to be together in the same group? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Patrick, I'm not there yet. I'll have to get there and let you know. But what I love is that he's watching us right now. We're going to have Brent Beaird talk football. And one of the things he's going to mention, of course, is the upcoming schedule of media days that are coming in July and of this year, of course, in the AAC, or rather in the SEC, July 13th through 16th is media day for this conference in Atlanta, Georgia. The ACC will have theirs a week later in Charlotte. The Big Ten, same weekend in Chicago. And the Pac-12 will be even a week later after that in Los Angeles somewhere. But the season upcoming, even though we're way away from it, It's not as far as you think. It's only 5 months to September, and it's only 4 months to August, but it is the entire summer still ahead of us. But there are some amazing games that we're going to have in the beginning of the year. And just to kind of give you a heads up, some of those games would include Georgia playing at Alabama in September, Clemson playing at Notre Dame, LSU, Ohio State at Oregon, Clemson, Alabama, and LSU, of course. Okay, Ohio State at Penn, Georgia, Florida. So there's some really good games. But I guess what I was saying was, it's hard to read this, but the Ohio State at Oregon game is very interesting to me, and the Georgia at Alabama.
What week is Georgia, Alabama?
That would be, I think, the second week in September, or so.
Third game? Is it game 3?
It is game 3, yeah. So it would be maybe the third week of September, because they open with Southern California, then they have a Patsy, and then comes Georgia. So yeah.
Oh, they got SC where in Dallas?
They got SC in Dallas,
that
Texas.
Could be
SC's just, they don't have the athletes. They just don't. They didn't recruit well at all. That's a program that I think is actually looking, and I don't have anything to base this on, but I've kind of heard word that they're actually looking at exploring leaving the Pac-12 because of how poor that conference is being run financially. Where are they going to go? The Big 12, maybe? But I think that would be the only place.
So the Big 12, West Virginia has a road game in L.A. against SC. Crazy. How about that travel?
That's crazy. Well, I mean, West Virginia traveling just to Austin, Texas is a hell of a long trip.
Right.
Iowa State's always had to do that. I mean, that's a long trip. So I don't know. I mean, it's just word. I don't think that will ever happen. The Pac-12, though, is suffering. Their network was an abject failure. Geographically speaking, their conference is difficult, and their championship game is a joke. It's an absolute, utter joke. Nobody goes to watch it. So they have a lot of challenges in the Pac-12 in terms of football. And until the teams win games in the Pac-12, it will always be an also-ran type of conference. And so Southern Cal's had enough. So what are they trying to do? Well, they played Alabama once already in Dallas and got blown out, and somebody scored 50-something points on SC. I mean, they just blew them out. And I don't know why that wouldn't happen again this year. But we'll see. It's going to be a great environment. I'll be there.
Before we get to Brent Beaird at 8:30, remember tomorrow, 1 o'clock in the O'Connell Center, senior night against the Kentucky Wildcats. We only have one senior, I believe. We may have a couple of guys that don't play, but you got Blackshear. Baseball on campus, 3-game set against the South Florida Bulls. Yeah. Softball host starting SEC play, the Auburn Tigers, which they're a pretty good softball program.
They really are. But this baseball team playing South Florida, a chance to go 16-0.
South Florida's struggling. I was reading some stuff on them. They're struggling at the plate right now.
So that's not good. That doesn't bode well.
But again,
Florida.
It's baseball.
He wins. So going 15-1 or 16-0 to start the season, I don't think you could ask for anything better. And certainly, this is a baseball team that's got me excited. And I think the SEC as a whole is a great conference in baseball, obviously, with the national champions, the 2-time defending national champions up in Vanderbilt, and schools in Mississippi that, I mean, they look forward to baseball almost as much as some other schools look forward to football. I mean, it is a commitment up there, and they love their Rebels or Land Sharks or Black Bears or whatever they are, and the Bulldogs. They love those schools. So those football programs or baseball programs are excellent. Arkansas's got a great program. Should have won the national title. Didn't. Guy dropped a foul ball. And then you have South Carolina, who's won 2 national championships under Ray Tanner, and they have a great facility up there in Columbia. And LSU is LSU, right? They're probably the most successful baseball program in our conference over the years. So it's been great. So it's been great to watch, and the conference is outstanding. I know Jeff Cardozo gets excited about baseball, and as the guy who calls some of these games, he's been on our show here. He's got a lot to look forward to traveling for the Gators and getting ready to go watch some great baseball here in the spring.
No doubt about it. We're going to take our second time out of the
Brent
program. You're watching and listening to Pot It with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. Area Rug Masters, your number one choice for rug cleaning, and Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker M.M. Parrish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Coldstone Creamery, Gator Dominoes, Celebration Primary Care, Center State Bank.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. John Cornell, Shane Matthews. Hey, folks, Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. About 8:32 here. We're going to go straight to the Titan MRI hotline, and we're joined by Brent Beaird, college football analyst over at First Coast News in Jacksonville, also part of College Sports Today. He's a Heisman Trophy voter,
Right.
Does a little bit of everything. Brent, welcome to the program. How are you?
Guys, I'm doing well. Good to be with you. Obviously, hoops going on, but we've also got several teams now who are beginning to start spring practice. South Carolina has been in for a few days. I know LSU is on the verge of starting themselves. Some other non-SEC teams like the Miami Hurricanes are up and going. So, as you guys know, that's one of the fun things about this time of year. We'll have a different team just about every other day.
One of the other fun things in college football, specifically for some of these coaches, Brent, are new deals. And up in the Big Ten, two big re-ups or basically new extensions for both James Franklin and Ryan Day. Comment a little bit about what they just got.
Yeah, no question. Day was going to get something after the year that that they had. He certainly deserved that. And obviously with Urban leaving, folks were wondering how he would do. Now, again, he basically had, I guess you could argue, most of Urban's players, but when you get a situation like that, you still got to keep the car in the middle of the road, don't you? So he was able to do that and was certainly rewarded. James Franklin, the same thing, a new 6-year contract. And he's making around 5.4, and that will go up somewhat over the next few years. So yes, for good years for both of those. But I tell you though, guys, even with this new deal with Franklin, and I get it, there are still some Penn State fans who are wondering, well, you know what? It's time we won the conference and win a little bit more. So expectations rise, don't they, guys?
They absolutely do, especially with those new contracts. Brent, moving on with the NCAA, a couple of slight rule changes that are coming in the upcoming college football season. Can you discuss some of those for us?
Yeah, some of these were are certainly interesting. The new tweak on the target is that if you're guilty of targeting, instead of having to leave the field, which a lot of people really never understood to begin with, now they're able to remain on the sidelines. There's still a lot of people who think, and this is probably a sermon on another day, that this should be kind of a flagrant 1 and flagrant 2 like they do in basketball, and the guys still remain on the field regardless. So we'll see if they do any more with that. And I think the main one fans would be interested in would be is instant replay will only be permitted to take 2 minutes. Yeah. Now, I've got to see that to believe it, guys, to be honest with you. Listen, that's a wonderful goal, is it not? But to see that come out in real practicality, say in the SEC in the fourth quarter in a big game,
right?
I'm not sure that one's going to be limited to 2 minutes.
Brent, as you mentioned, a lot of teams are getting ready to kick off, especially in the SEC. Gators start, I think, March 16th, spring ball. The SEC is going to be carrying pretty much every game on the SEC network. This may be a silly question, but are we the only league that carries the spring games, or do like the Big Ten and those guys broadcast their games as well?
That's a really good question. It depends. I don't think the Pac-12 does. And some of your others, the Big Ten is going to have pretty much everything on the Big Ten network. I think a lot of it depends on how your networks are set up and how viable they are. So in your bigger ones, I would be quite interested about the as far as what you got with the Big 12, how much of that, and of course a lot of these are also added with ESPN and so forth, which they all are anyway. But particularly the SEC certainly does, and what they're going to do, guys, this year is they're going to have kind of a whip around, which what that means is they're going to concentrate on certain games for about 15 minutes. And then go to others. Will be interesting to see where that goes. But as you guys know, some of these fan bases are not going to be happy only to see partial parts of their game. They want to see the whole thing, don't they?
Yeah, well, they really do. And I don't know. I mean, that Saturday, April 18th date has 7 teams having their game, and of course spread out across the afternoon. But LSU, Florida, and Alabama, Georgia, boom, 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 boom. The 4 favorites in the league playing virtually at the same time. So there will be that whip around that you talked about. Should be interesting, at least for some folks who are sitting at home. If you can watch both channels if you have 2 TVs. I mean, who doesn't have 2 TVs these days in their living room, right? But at any rate, let me ask you a question that's a little bit off topic from your notes, but I do want your opinion on this, Brent, and that involves the Southeastern Conference. I know that Greg Sankey, ever since taking over, has been reticent to make wholesale changes to the conference. It's kind of the if it's not broke, don't fix it mentality. But there are 2 things that just stick in my craw, Brent, and I want your opinion. I want your opinion on the the adjustment of putting Missouri in the West and Auburn in the East the way it should be, geographically speaking, the realignment. A, does that ever have a chance of happening? And B, what do you think of that? And then the other topic would be the 9th game in the SEC, so that maybe if they were to realign, the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry and some of these other crossover rivalries would still stay intact with 9 conference games as one of the reasons to go there.
Yeah, and that's 2 biggies too. The geography thing would only make a lot of sense, frankly, but it would also take. I would be interested to see for that to happen, if that would need to be either unanimous or that would just be by a majority vote. But, the strange thing about that is we've talked about that a lot as media, but it really is not on the agenda that much for the league. But I still think, but I'll tell you this, guys, when all these new contracts come up in 2025 and even before then, when they start to deal with them, that may be something the league actually looks at. And see how much more sense that would be. The 9 regular season games, as far as the league games, I still think that's going to come eventually. You've got 2 or 3 coaches now who are in favor of it. Nick Saban has been outspoken about it for years. It seems like it kind of gets more support from the coach almost every year. I know the fans would love it. And it would take away one of the really bad non-conference games. Right. But the thing about it is, and this is pointed out every year, is that the SEC is in the playoffs. One of the reasons is because they play 8 instead of 9, risking their champion getting beat. sometime before you actually get to the game.
But Brent, that wouldn't be the first time that happened. I mean, they risked their champion getting in 1992 when Alabama played Florida. They didn't need to play Florida, but if they don't beat Florida, they don't play Miami in the Sugar Bowl. So it wouldn't be the first time, but Roy Kramer's not with us anymore.
No, well, yes, that is very true. But I still think, guys, that's something that's going to happen sometime over the next 5 to 10 years because A, of the revenue that it would bring in, B, it would also help strength of schedule as far as the playoffs are concerned. I'll tell you this, if you ever had an SEC team left out of the playoffs because of their strength of schedule, that would get on the agenda very quickly.
In a hurry. Yeah, it would.
We're speaking with Brent Beaird, college football analyst at First Coast News over in Jax, also part of College Sports Today. You can follow him at Brent Beaird on Twitter. Brent, let's switch to the SEC. What's going on in Tuscaloosa? I believe they've hired a new strength coach. And what are you hearing? I know practice hasn't started, but are we penciling Mac Jones in as their quarterback?
That's going to be a very interesting battle. Tua's brother Talia is also going to be in that mix. The guy that everybody's looking at is your latest incredible freshman coming in. He's a midterm enrollee, and Bryce Young from California. I'm not saying he's Tua, but people will compare him a little bit to Tua. But look, Mac Jones is steady. He knows the offense. Saban and the coaching staff trust him. So although they probably won't name a starter, I think he will be probably your guy coming out of a spring. I'd be surprised somewhat if he's not. Bama's made some moves. David Ballou, who was with Indiana as their strength and conditioning coach, he is coming in, did a really good job at Indiana. As you remember, they played Tennessee in the Gator Bowl this year. But also coming with him is Dr. Matt Ray, who is basically Indiana's speed coach. So Saban, always on the cutting edge, wanted to try something different. That they were kind of a tandem. He hired them, and they're frankly very excited. I mean, they're certainly sad to see Scott Cochran go in a lot of ways. He will energize Georgia, we believe, too. But Saban always a couple of steps ahead. Went out and got these guys, and they've got a new sports science building that they are coming up with this year that's going to help both those guys immensely.
So he hired Indiana University speed coach. How many fast dudes does Indiana have?
Down there.
Well, good point. But I think what comes up with that is this guy is so well versed in kinesiology and all the exercise in his. He actually was a professor of 7-on-7 football now instead of a smash mouth football. The quick twitch and the speed is more the thing.
Yeah, very true. We just never thought of Hoosier football as fast.
I agree.
Not yet, no. How about since you're on the topic of some of these new players coming in, coming out, we don't know what, and maybe you can fill us in. What's the latest on Zach Evans, and how does Florida look for him?
I'm laughing because my answer to that will be, let me go get a coin and I'll flip it.
Yeah.
And see. I mean, the thing that you heard at least 2 or 3 weeks ago, shortly after a National Signing Day, was he was coming to visit. He really liked Florida and so forth. I mean, Florida certainly is in there. Would you say Florida's one of the favorites? I think you could probably say that too. But this is a guy that he's either being very mysterious or he just doesn't understand the process.
Yeah.
So it's still early, and right now for Gator fans, they're still involved.
Back out of Houston.
Yeah, when you look at there's 3 schools that are really intriguing to me, and they're all going to be in the mix. It's Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. When you look at those 3, I think the question mark, obviously, because they all lost really, really good quarterbacks. I think more people are interested in looking at those schools during spring ball to see who takes over at that position. When you look in Athens, Jamie Newman's coming in. I guess they're penciling him as a starter, and he was a good player at Wake Forest. But we're talking Wake Forest and we're talking the ACC. How do you think he's going to translate to Todd Monken, the new offensive coordinator system at Georgia?
I think he'll be fine. I mean, he really was impressive at Wake. But the thing about it is, when you drill down with his stats, and Shane, as you know, you could say this with all quarterbacks. When he was under pressure, he struggled at times, as everybody does. But I mean, they certainly like him. Look, my thing with Newman may be as much, can they rebuild that offensive line quickly? Now, Sam Pittman obviously is going to Arkansas. Matt Luke is in there now as the offensive line coach. That would be a concern for me as much as it would be anything else. In those receivers growing up this year after struggling last year is going to be important too. But your question's a good one. I think Alabama's fairly steady with Mac Jones, but also you mentioned LSU. That's going to be very interesting too. He expects Miles Brennan to explode this season. So, but guys, with the season they had last year, it's going to be very difficult to duplicate that this year.
We got a text here on the Titan MRI text line from Daryl. He wants me to ask Brent, who do you think might be a dark horse this upcoming season in the SEC?
Well, we say this every year, and I think it's really true. I'll give you one in the East. I would say Kentucky, and the job that Mark Stoops continues to do, the way he recruits Ohio. Terry Wilson comes back as their quarterback, so that's going to be fascinating. And look in the West, and this may be as much for fun as it would be anything else. But I mean, if either Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss or the Pirate at Mississippi State and Mike Leach, look, are they going to win the division? No, they don't have the personnel yet, but they can have a lot. They can have a lot of say so, and even spring an upset or two. I'm still convinced that Leach could take almost anybody and make him a 5,000-yard a year passer. Yeah. So I think that's going to be fascinating, but more realistic. If you're looking for a dark horse, I think they've got more veterans on that team than a lot of other in the West do. So I think if you're looking for a dark horse, it would have to be them and the expected improvement that you might see.
We got another text here on the Titan MR text line. Says Larry asks, please ask Brent, has he heard anything about Felipe Franks at Arkansas? Is he penciled in as the starter?
I think he's almost got to be, frankly. Someone may come out of the woods and get it, but I think at that point he transfers. I don't know if they guaranteed him that, Shane, guys, necessarily, but the reality is I think you've got to go with that. But to me, they've got, and Pittman's the best at this. They've got to rebuild that offensive line at Arkansas, or poor Felipe is going to be running for his life the entire season.
Brent, a couple more things before we let you go here. What's going on with Will Muschamp and his program? What's going on in South Carolina?
They are in spring already, and it's been fairly quiet at this point. Now, Ryan Helinski is healthy. He was hurt a lot. And people don't realize, I think, how big that kid was, 6'3", 230. So he's going to be a good quarterback. Rankarius Davis, their senior wide receiver, he's been ruled out for the spring. They hope he can play coming up. He's a pretty good talent. He's just been hurt all the time. Mike Bobo, as you know, went from Colorado State to South Carolina. They're really high on Shi Smith at wide receiver, and they need guys who can really help them. Xavier Leggett, I think, has been good too. We mentioned Helinski a few minutes ago. Colin Hill is also in that battle along that line. So that's going to be a fascinating team to look at too, because I think we all three know this is a big year for Will. he's got to win this year. That buyout will be last this season. And if they have another poor season, they'll be looking for someone else come December.
Isn't the HBC being inducted into their Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he is, as a matter of fact.
Another Hall of Fame for him.
Wow, this guy in his Hall of Fame. He loves, Well,
he does.
Well, wrapping it up here with Brent Beaird of College Sports Today. Brent, we thank you so much for spending some of your Friday morning with us. Just give us a quick capsule on Florida State and Miami.
Well, Miami's already started, and so far, I think so good. Rhett Lashley is their new offensive coordinator. They want to play fast. Derek King is probably going to be their new quarterback. I mean, he transferred over. And he's really a pretty good talent, frankly. And again, even though it's early, they really like guys like Al Blades and DJ Ivy and Christian Williams, just to give you a few names at this point. I think for Florida State, and their spring game is going to be on the 18th. Once everybody looks at the offense, but what's the defense going to be like? Too, I think they're kind of transitioning between 3-4 and 4-3. That's going to be rather interesting, too. They've got but guys, I like Mac today so far, and also improve that defense. Look, they're not going to upend Clemson at this point, but I think they could be much better than what they have been.
Well, Brent, we appreciate you joining the program, my man. A lot of good stuff there. We'll talk to you on down the road, my man.
Look forward to it, guys. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird from College Sports Today, also a college football analyst for First Coast News over in Jacksonville. You can follow him at Brent Beaird on Twitter.
Just so much information. It really is. If you're a college junkie, college football junkie, he's a great source to go to. QB, we have a big weekend coming up here as we wrap it up for the week. Again, basketball, I think, is the primary thing. Kentucky coming in here. It's always a big day when Kentucky comes in. They bring their fans. The Gators are hot right now.
It's interesting because I want to say Joe Lunardi has us penciled in as like a 9 seed.
Yeah, well, that's
okay.
What I
so
saw.
it's like, okay,
but,
you beat Kentucky, you're going to move up a better seed.
Hopefully
if you lose to Kentucky, you may go to a 10.
So I would take that.
Right.
Yeah. So
you want to try to get out of that 8-9
hole. Yeah, no doubt about it. And obviously the reason is because in the second round, there's a very high probability. Central Florida.
You're going to be live from Bay Hill today?
I'm going to Bay Hill today to go find my Korean golfers, your Korean golfers, and watch some great golf. Maybe Matt Every can get into the weekend as the tournament leader.
Well, today's show is a wrap brought to you by WrapSpot. A vehicle wrap from WrapSpot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call WrapSpot today. Don't forget, Dan Cross will be here on Monday. Have a great weekend.